Hey everyone, welcome to the Be Bold, Make Waves podcast, a show bringing you inspiring stories of women who are growing and scaling their business. I'm your host, Laura Comark, a website and tech integration specialist who works with online business owners who love their work and not their website. Join me as we have incredible conversations about business, mindset, productivity, and of course, the website and tech behind the business. Let's go ahead and dive in to this week's episode. Hello and welcome to this week's show. For those of you who don't already know me, I'm Laura Comark, website and tech automation specialist for women who love their work, but not their website. I'm really excited about this week's episode. We're going to talk about automations. And I know we talk a lot on the podcast about what we automate in our business, but today we're actually going to talk about the things we automate in our home life. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is I know that there's a number of things I've done in my life at home to just help free up some of the mental bandwidth that I have available by seeing some of the repetitive things that I do and putting them on autopilot. Also by just finding ways to simplify. So let's go ahead and dive into today's episode. So first of all, I would love to know, have you ever found yourself when you're coming home and you're just like trying to get in the door? If you're anything like me, I always have like a bajillion bags of groceries where I think I can carry too many things at once. I always have my purse, my water bottle, all the groceries, and I'm trying to fumble for my keys. And this was something that was always like, I don't know, a thing where you're trying to get in the door, can't find your keys, they're buried at the bottom of your bag. And a few years ago, we actually installed a keyless door lock. And the idea first came to me when Denise Duffield-Thomas, money mindset coach, who I'm a huge fan of. I'm in her money bootcamp. I just love all her books and her podcast and everything. She talks about the keyless life philosophy, which she talked about installing a keyless door lock. And again, this has been so life-changing. It feels so simple, but it's been life-changing for us. We had a number of years ago, one of the kids had broken our lock and we could no longer lock it from the outside. So we had to go get a new lock and get new keys. And I didn't realize that we could have just rekeyed the lock. I didn't know that. And so I had a few new keys made, but we didn't have that many. My daughter would always take the key to play with. So I found myself, I had two keys to get in the front door. And I had one that was in my purse always. And then she took the other one. So when I was going to walk the dog, I didn't have a way to lock the house. And that really bothered me because I'm just one of those people. I like to have the door locked just for safety. And, let's not leave things unlocked so people can get in. So it kind of bothered me. So installing this keyless lock, again, it seems so simple, but it's so amazing. I just have a little code. I punch in my code, it beeps at me and unlocks the door. And it's amazing. I never have to worry about carrying a key. My kids can get in the door. They don't have to worry about carrying a key. They have their own separate code. I have codes for the house sitter. And when my daughter was working with a tutor, she had her own code. Different people have their own code. And I know when they unlock, because then it also pings my phone. And so I know that the door's been unlocked and who's coming in. It's amazing. It's again, it feels so simple, but it just adds so much convenience to our life. It's one of those things I'm like, why didn't we do this sooner? This is amazing. I highly recommend it. So that's one of the things that we have automated at home is really just getting in and out of the house. No one anymore has to worry about forgetting a key or not bringing a key or any of those things. So that's the first way that we've automated things at home. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is setting up some auto ship. So I have a bunch of it's been game changing for me when I have taken these items that I need to have on hand and just constantly restocking in the house. So this is going to be things like making sure we don't run out of coffee or vitamins, the pet food, toilet paper, all that stuff I have set up now to just auto ship. And I get an email every month to review it, see if there's any changes I need to make. If there's nothing to make change, they send it out a week later and everything just shows up And I don't have to constantly be worried. It was literally just the other day. My husband's like, hey, heads up, we're on the last can of coffee. Did you see I wrote it on the list? I said, it's already on order and it will be here tomorrow. So that also made me feel like I was being very accomplished, that I already knew. It helps me feel like I almost have this little personal assistant that's just making sure I don't run out of these essential items that we need to just keep the household running. Okay, so the next item we're going to dive into is talking about meal prep. So I am just not one of those people who enjoys cooking. I never have enjoyed cooking. It's just not my favorite thing to do. So for me, figuring out a grocery list each week and meal planning and all that has never been enjoyable. And so it was about 5 years ago, we started trying out some of the different meal prep delivery services. So we first started with like HelloFresh, and we did that for a number of years. And then we switched around to some of the other ones. Currently, we're using, at the time of this recording, we're using Home Chef, which I love because they send me a lot of things that are oven ready and it's already pre-chopped, and I just toss it in a pan, season the meat, and it goes in the oven, and, vegetables, potatoes, meat, and it's good to go. It's, again, for me, being able to not spend hours meal planning, researching online, trying to find new recipes, figuring, going to the grocery stores, wandering the aisles, finding all the different items I need for dinner that week. That to me just is a true time saver and sanity saver, because I'm just not a fan of grocery shopping and I'm not a fan of cooking. So any way that I can kind of easy button it and make it just free up that mental space in my head, I am on board to find those ways. Okay, so this last one we're going to talk about is kind of a funny one. It's actually this automatic soap dispenser. And so it's motion activated. And the story behind this goes back to when my daughter was younger and just like not wanting to wash her hands. And so she was like very resistant of it. Toddlers sometimes have very strong opinions, and we were just trying to find a way to make it more fun for her. And so it was actually my mom who was like, hey, let's get them, she sent us, or she was here visiting actually. And she went to just like Bed Bath & Beyond and picked up this motion sensor hand soap dispenser. And now my daughter wasn't that keen on it. Like, she's fine with washing her hands now. It's not a big deal anymore. She got through that phase, but I love this motion activated soap dispenser. One, it makes me feel kind of fancy. And two, it just makes, again, everything so much easier. I ended up getting more of them, one for every sink in the house. I really love it in the kitchen because a lot of times I feel like I have like, if I'm cooking, I might have like meat juice or something like raw meat on my hands or gunk on my hand, like food, and I need to wash it off. And not having to touch the soap dispenser, just like being able to put my hand in there, it just makes it a little more hand-free, because before you would have to like use one hand to push down the top of the soap, and then the soap comes into the other hand. And again, like, it's super silly, but it's something that to me, like, again, it's one of those little changes that we made at home that just really makes life feel a lot simpler. Just wave your hand and soap magically dispenses. So really, it's just some of these little small touches that just can bring added convenience into our daily lives and free up so much of, again, that mental space, that mental bandwidth that just takes up. There's so many things to do, especially as moms and business owners, where we're constantly trying to like remember to do all the things. And, we're running out of coffee. Don't forget to order the milk, like all these things that when we find ways that we can automate some of that and just free up some of that mental energy, it can just make life so much simpler. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I would love to challenge you to look around your house and like see like what things could you automate? Is there anything that you're doing, any tasks, anything that you find like you're reordering something every, maybe you have the same groceries you get pretty much every week. Could you put that on an auto order? Even if you go to the store and pick it up and do the drive up, just anything that can free up time and energy can help make things so much simpler. So I would love to know. Send me a DM on Instagram at Laura Comark and let me know some of the ways that you automate your household life to free up more time and energy to really do the things that you want to do. So stay tuned. I can't wait to hear what you automate at home. And I look forward to seeing you next week, where we have another exciting topic that we will be talking about on the podcast. And until then, automate away and enjoy the freedom that it brings. Take care. Talk to you next week. Bye now. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. Be sure to check out the show notes at lauracomark.com/podcast. And if you're ready to turn your website into a marketing machine, get more sales, save time, and simplify the back end of your business, grab my free resource, Power Integrations for your website. Head on over to lauracomark.com/power. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe. And also, I'll just love you forever if you leave me a review. It helps get this podcast in front of other people that can help inspire. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you next week. Bye now.